and that way I make sure that everybody's got some. Everybody needs a yellow and a pink. All right. They should be coming back to you. There's more in my box if I didn't get enough. Also, a couple of pages, one-page handouts. This is always the difficult part, just getting the getting the what's the word? The administrative stuff. Okay, I'll kind of pass those down for me. Thank you. All right.
Buffy.
Who needs one?
Oh,
Okay. Is that correct?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to overlook you. All right. There we go. And yellow and pink, one of each. Certainly. If I got it
Put the
right.
yellow one down there.
It's not a secret, but you are going to vote with those. Anybody missing a card? I want to see everybody's pink cards.
I
Show
need
me.
a pink, I need a yellow. Here's yellow.
Oh, I've got some more back here. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody's playing this game? No exceptions. All right, pinks. Oh, there we go. Great. So, pinks and yellows. If you have your pink, raise it. Show me. Let me see everybody's pink. All right, so here we go. You've got one in each hand. We're good. We can go on. You were getting. Well, first of all, I'm Fishe Cravens. You may not know me, but I started the Tea Party in
Felicia.
Houston.
use the microphone.
Sorry, I usually used to teaching children in classes, and I forget that I need microphones. I'm Fishe Cravens. You might know the name from starting the Tea Party in Houston back in 2009. I've been a precinct chair on and off since active since 1998, and have been dealing with social media since the 2008 election, and looked around and said, oh my goodness, what did we miss out on? And I've been training people on social media and things like that for that period of time. So you're getting a pop quiz. I'm going to give you 10 stories. Actually, everybody stand up. This will work better if you're standing, if you can. If you can't, you are also going to be accountability partners to your neighbors. So, no cheating. All right, pop quiz. Are these stories real headlines or fake news? Number 1, study blames sandwiches for global warming. Raise pink if you think it's fake. Raise yellow if you think it is true.
Wait a minute, will you define what you mean by that? So, hey, just a minute. So,
This is a headline. This is an actual headline that I saw online. You tell me with the pink if you think it's a fake story. That headline is for a fake story. Tell me with the yellow one if you think it is a true story. All right. Look around, see what your neighbors got.
It was probably posted by PETA.
It's real. The blaze. If you got it wrong, sit down. If you got it wrong, sit down. Look how quickly we narrowed that down. That's a real story. You can put your cards down now. Next question. Alabama State Police arrest 3 poll workers for fraud. Everybody can still vote, but the people that are standing, there's a prize at the end here. All right, so is this a real story? Pink, yellow. If it's a fake story, pink. Everybody can vote. You just don't get a prize if you're sitting down. Fake. If you got it wrong, sit down. Who's left standing? You can still vote. You can still register whether you think it's true or not. But we have only 4 people left, 5 people left standing. Okay.
I'm
6.
standing.
You're standing. Okay, 6. Next one. Real or fake? The Oklahoma City mayor demands rights for pedophiles. Is it true? Yellow. Is it fake? Pink.
Fake is in.
Nope. Sit down if you got it wrong. All right. It is a fake story. All right. Oh, we already have. Okay, of Conservative Heart from Arthur Brooks for both of you for lasting that long. Good job. Your last two. There we go. It's not easy, is it, folks? We're going to come back to this in a minute, but let's finish. Now, let's go on to something else. We'll come back to the quiz. Keep that in mind. We'll finish the quiz in a minute. How many of you are sick of the nastiness and ugliness in politics these days? Yes, aren't you? Would you consider yourself mostly politically active and informed? Yes or no? Yes. How much worse do you think it is for the people who are not as informed as you? It's how much worse do you think it looks? How much worse do you think it feels for them to be involved in politics when all the nastiness is out there? It's pretty bad. So those are the people that you need to reach too. And we get in our political bubbles and we feel as though we know what the stories are, we know what the news is, we know what's going on, but we encounter people who are seeing things completely differently from us. So I want to talk a little bit about the engagement issue, why you need social media to do it, and what it's doing. First of all, of course, we've talked this morning already about how more people are getting their information online than ever before. Paul was talking about people watching less news and listening to less radio, and they share information online more and more as well. Those are two huge things to keep in mind. So why would I be qualified to talk about that? And here I am talking about fake news. We're switching into engagement. There's a reason for that, and we'll come back to it. But why am I qualified? I've sat down across the table on radio shows from people from Black urban radio stations, people from Occupy, and found common ground. I have regular conversations and debates and discussions with people who are admitted Bernie Sanders supporting leftists. And it's not been ugly. It's not been divisive. It's not been ugly and nasty and mean and or gross. I mean, you know what I mean when you're getting into conversations with people and you just want to stop and cut them off because they're just so nasty. Well, the reason I'm able to do those things, I recognize three things about engaging with people. And the first one is, most people are not as political as I am. Let me tell you, that's a revelation for me. Because once I knew it, I was ready to tell everybody about it, whatever the news was, and people would look at me as though I had two heads. Because they didn't know, they didn't keep up, they didn't care to keep up, or there was too much to keep up with. And we have to keep that in mind. This is our bread and butter, this is the thing we do, this is our passion, this is our life, the political sphere. Most people are not like you, you're the freaks. I'm just telling you straight up, you're the freaks. I own it, but it gives me a new perspective. The second thing I learned, most people that you encounter online, especially in politics and Facebook and whatever, that lean left, they're left washed. They're not articulate and deep embedded leftist people. So there's a whole bunch of people who've been getting messages from media, from Hollywood, from academia, from all of these places, and we haven't countered it because we don't own those spaces. What's happening is they're just getting a left washing, just like the waves rolling in on the beach on a regular basis, moving the sand around. And they're not embedded, but your behavior and your response to them can either move them your way or it can embed them in the left. And so being careful about what you do online is part of reaching out to people. Now, the last thing I learned is people like to be invited to talk. They like to be invited to give their opinions. Not to be made to feel stupid. And you all know that guy. You all know that guy who goes online and just tries to win points and beat people. I mean, you can see famous people doing this. Celebrities do this on the conservative side. Go out and try to beat people up with the facts and hammer all these things. That's not persuasion. And that is your goal, isn't it? It's persuasion. And the first thing you have to ask about everything you do is this thing that I am doing getting me closer to the goal of persuading somebody, whoever I'm interacting with, or whoever's watching? Or is it making it more difficult? So, keeping those things in mind, there's just a couple of things I wanted to go over about how you can make that a little bit easier. And the first thing is conservative small talk. You probably haven't heard about that, but this is something I've worked on for a few years. Conservative small talk means that you're giving people the invitation who you might normally not talk politics with. I talk politics with my hairdresser. I'm not kidding you. She's an apolitical person, but I came to her and one day I was talking about, have you heard about that homeless feeding ban in Houston where they don't let you feed homeless people? And I opened up that subject. She had no idea. She'd never heard of it. And now she asks me about it when I come back. It's a thing that we talk about and connect on. So what I did is I opened up the subject. First, I invited her to talk about it with me. I asked her if she knew about it and implied that I knew something about it. And then secondly, I explained to her how it worked. And that means that I had to know how it worked. So I didn't pick an issue I didn't know anything about. I picked an issue I was familiar with. Then I asked her opinion. What do you think about that? How do you think that the mayor came to that conclusion? How do you think that Anise Parker thought that was a good idea? Or the council thought that was a good idea? We talked about that. And she was, rightfully upset about that. You can't feed homeless people? What are you talking about? I can't give them a sandwich when I walk by? No, you can't. And then I told her where to find out more. I told her of a source that I knew that I trusted where she could learn more about the issue, whether that was on Facebook or whether it was on a website. I let her know where to find out more so that she wasn't just getting the information from me, she could go and back it up somewhere else. So that's conservative small talk. It's really that simple. Invite them into a conversation, explain it, ask their opinion, and then tell them where to get more. You do that on certain issues, and you become so much more of an inviter to these people to talk about their views, and you don't end up making them feel stupid. They feel better informed when they've interacted with you. The second thing, you want to focus on the issues first, the problems first. If I'm talking about policy, people's eyes are glazing over. But if I'm talking about human stories, about people who can't get retrained for work because, say, they have a prior conviction of something, and maybe it's a prior conviction that keeps them from getting in the door to certain programs, I can talk about that if I know about it, and people will connect with me on that. It's a little bit easier to do that than if I'm just saying, well, all these people out here are out of work. And here's the statistics that tells you how much, how many, and why. That's not as helpful as putting a human face on it and telling an intimate story about a problem that you want fixed. And isn't that what politics is? It's fixing the problems that are out there. It's not team rooting and pep rallies. There's a problem at the end of those pep rallies. There's a thing, a policy you want to get to, but you got to get to it through engaging people more, how would you say it, I guess, more intimately with the ideas of what you want to fix, instead of just focusing on the policies in general. Leave that to the politicians. They'll spin that stuff all day long. Tell the stories. So thirdly, you want to get to know your audience. I know my hairdresser just a little bit, but I knew she was like the kind who liked to talk when she was doing my hair. So I could pick a topic that was not necessarily a left-leaning topic or a right-leaning topic. I just talked about the ideas. Isn't it crazy that you can't feed the homeless? And that's a topic that resonated with her, we found out. You could find any number of topics, news stories. You already read the news. You already know what's going on. Figure out how to personalize that for people and then become familiar with their life, their views. You never know. Maybe if I'm talking about justice reform and sentencing reform on certain things, maybe my hairdresser has a brother who had a conviction on something, a minor conviction that is causing him problems now. You don't know, but when you go and you ask and you talk to people and you listen, then you get to know your audience better and you can better tailor what you're saying. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about this, and we'll go back to the pop quiz. Everywhere you go, you are representing the brand that you're establishing, whether you're in church or whether you're part of the HCRP. Everywhere you go, you represent that brand. And so everything you do, whether it's online or whether it's in person, people are looking at you as the exemplar of what your label is. So be aware of that. Are you doing things to further that, to make that interaction more comfortable, more inviting, more open for them? Or are you seeing people who are just starting fights because they want to be proven right? Those are things to keep in mind. Representing the brand is a huge thing, and I can't tell you how much so, especially going to national conferences and seeing people act like huge jerks. It gets videotaped, and then it's online forever. It's awful. So representing the brand is huge, and you do that online even more so because you're less likely to be able to have visual cues or information about how people are responding. It's all text a lot of the time. So I've got that part out of the way. Let's get back to the fake news. Here we go. I'm sorry, real quick question.
I just want to confirm that you're very, very correct. I've been helping a senior at Yale who is a Hispanic young man that I know from Houston, and we back and forth email all the time, and of course I found out that what he doesn't know is what I have to be careful about when he asks me questions. I have to be very careful about almost asking questions back, and your comments about focusing on stories and have knowledge before you refer that person to something. You really have to know that that would give them where they want to go knowledge-wise.
I agree. I think if you focus on one or two of your passionate subjects that you're passionate about, and you find the stories that tell it, you find asset forfeiture is a huge one for me. I am passionate about eliminating civil asset forfeiture. So every time one of those stories comes up, I've got it bookmarked, and I memorize those stories, and I can encapsulate them in just a couple minutes and talk to people, and I can send them to places that I trust that will have better information. Exactly. Knowing just a couple of subjects to start with. You don't have to know the whole platform. Have you seen that platform? It's massive. But pick a couple issues that you can represent the conservative position on, the Republican position on, and it does make it go a lot farther, and you don't feel as though you're overwhelmed. Plus, you reach people when you ask them how much they know about it, then you can open that conversation that way. Very good. All right, back to fake news, because again, I just get tickled about this. And you can still vote with this one, but again, prizes are done. 46 tons of Mardi Gras beads found in clogged catch basins. True or false?
What color?
Red is false. Red is fake. It's true. NOLA.com. That is true.
Are you sure of that? Because I don't remember, going to school at Tulane, I don't remember any catch bases anywhere.
I'll give you that, but then again, it's New Orleans. How much did you have to imbibe on a regular basis? I'm just going to say, do you remember it accurately? I'm kidding. I didn't call you a drunk in public.
Handfuls of beads instead of one at a time.
True.
About I can understand.
True. Pedophile priest with HIV found crucified at his church in Mexico. True or false? Real or fake? It's fake. It's fake from one of the most notorious fake websites, which we'll get into. All right, number 6. Raid on Michigan mosque nets 11 ISIS terrorists and 40 vests.
What are vests?
Vests, suicide vests. Yellow is it's real. Pink is it's fake. It's fake. It's amazing how these are so hard to track. All right. I love this one. Number 7. El Chapo promises not to kill any jurors during his trial. Is it real? It's real. He actually did say that. Fox LA reported that. Number 8. Al Sharpton said it should be illegal for white people to shoot blacks even in self-defense. Did he say it? Yellow. Did he not say that? Pink. Nope. And I gotta tell you that story really quickly. The people that faked this up took an actual audio interview that he did and inserted in print one sentence. that changed the meaning of everything, and then used that sentence to make the whole headline. But I had to go back and dig and find the original audio where he just didn't say it. And they inserted it in a quote in print, and then everybody believed it because it was in print, right? Number 9, Nancy Pelosi tweeted, "I'm disgusted with President Trump allowing more people to keep more of their money." Did she say it? No, it was the crumbs quote was a different context. But this actual quote has been attributed to her through someone faking a tweet. You didn't know people could make up tweets, did you? But there are ways to fake tweets. Last one. Gwyneth Paltrow's organization, Goop, is promoting the at-home coffee enema kits. Is that true or not? Is it a real story or is it fake? Yes! Gwyneth Paltrow is into Starbucks. Yes. So, Starbucks. That is not original with me. I wish I could claim it. USA Today reported that because someone actually had to say, no, please do not use coffee as an enema. No, don't do that. By the way, Gwyneth Paltrow is a whole other story. If you hear it about Gwyneth Paltrow 99 times out of 100, it's going to be true. I'm just going to say it. Because she's that odd. So what is fake news? We've looked at these stories. We've seen some are fake, some are real. I took Wiki's definition. It's usually an intent to mislead, to damage someone or something, and done to gain politically or financially. And those are pretty clear pictures. Now, do you think mainstream media can do these things? Absolutely. This is not limited just to pop-up websites. You need to have good news skepticism about everything. You have to these days, and it's important. There's actually a video program that's out there now that you can mash together celebrity faces on pictures or video with actual pornography. And it looks authentic. So they're faking celebrity porn. People were saying, oh, people that are celebrities that took nude pictures that get out there, shame on them, they shouldn't take nude pictures if they don't want them online. Now they're taking the regular faces of not nudes and making pornography out of it. It's crazy what they're able to do, and machines are only getting better at this. So you are going to be faked with really believable looking stuff from now on. This is the frontier we're in now. So not only is it just words on a page or a picture that's been photoshopped, now it's going to look like you went and were in a store while it was being robbed and that you were an accomplice. Your face is going to be on some surveillance video because that's really easy to fake. It doesn't even have to be high quality video, does it? This is why you've got to worry about not just fake news from slandering somebody else. Could be you. If you hold the wrong political opinion or you upset the wrong people, that could be you. So.
One more addition to that, my son edits video for reality TV shows and that type of stuff. They have a program that they can take a conversation with somebody, select words, put it back together, put it on TV, and it looks like the person actually said that. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Thanks for giving me nightmares, even worse. So fake news is often confused by containing a kernel of truth to it. They don't really build fake news stories out of thin air a lot of times. It starts with something believable or something that's partly true. And it's often confused with satire. Satire, though, has a label on it and it tells you that it's satire. Most people are in on the joke. If nobody's in on the joke, it is not satire. So, let me tell you about the people who create fake news. Justin Kohler is a guy, I believe he's out of Colorado, who creates fake news in his garage. Just puts it out, has several sites. He makes 5 figures a month. And it's because he's sending his stories to the right places, with the right emotional tugs, with the right things that are getting people to click and interested in, they start with that kernel of truth and they're kind of believable. Christopher Blair, this one ought to give you nightmares. Christopher Blair is a self-confessed liberal who creates a network of 9, 10, 11 sites, I don't remember how many, who will create fake news to sites called Ladies of Liberty. You know, the abbreviation is LOL, or Freedom Junction, or America's Last Line of Defense. He'll make these sites and he'll label at the very bottom of all of them, rated S for satire. He's upfront and honest about what he's doing. But he's putting it out there to bait people who don't check. And then he says, look at all those stupid conservatives. Look at those stupid Republicans. They'll fall for all this stuff. He's actively doing that, then taking that back to other people and saying, oh, look how stupid conservatives are. Look how stupid Republicans are. And he's doing it and he's making money at it. A good amount of money. Now, Macedonian teenagers. A lot of these guys take, say, what Christopher Blair produces, and they scrape all of his satire labeling off of it, and then they'll reproduce it on 7 or 8 or 10 or a dozen more sites. And they make a ton from it. So we're actually sending a bunch of money from fake news overseas. Yes, the Russians are doing this. It is a thing. And then US-based profiteers. I've stumbled upon different bundles that I'm starting to track of different people doing fake news sites and tying them to Facebook. And yes, there are people here making, more than just Justin Kohler, making 5 figures a month on sites that just put out trash. Who shares it? I've been caught by fake news. I absolutely have. And I've had to go back and fix that. And your reputation does suffer, absolutely. Your engagement is dependent upon your credibility. And when you share something fake, people stop listening, they disengage, they don't pay attention to you as much anymore. I will tell you, people that I know who've had very long-standing and respectable careers in this party have a habit of sharing fake news, and it breaks my heart because they don't know. And if you try to approach them about it, it's a very difficult conversation and they don't want to have it. So let's keep going. Why do people share it? Type of people who share fake news are people who just don't really know it's fake, but it agrees with them. There's a group that's people that like to troll. They just like to get reactions out of people. They may not think it's fake, but they might want to bait other people into thinking it's true. I mean, they might not think it's true. And the most important thing, the most important problem we have, we are lazy news consumers. When is the last time that we check the link that a story links us to go see what more it says? I don't often have time for that. I just need the rundown and then I need to go. But this is what they're counting on. They know that you don't click the links. They know you don't check up. They know that the site looks kind of legit, so you're just going to roll with it. We get lazy. And again, as more fake things come through, whether it's from these faker guys we talked about or the mainstream media not doing their due diligence and not putting stories together completely, we're lazy about it, and that's how they get away with it. And they make money off of us while they're doing it. So what should you look for? I've got a handout for you. It is 20 fake news checks that will help you. And just keep this by your computer. I printed it out for you. On my Facebook page, I've got videos about these that kind of show some examples. But let's go through these really quickly. Number 1, no byline. If nobody is telling you who wrote it and when it was written, then that's a lot of pertinent information that's missing, that's absent. Make sure that every article has that in it. Somebody may want to be anonymous for some reason or another, but that's usually not news people. No links or citations. If they have no links involved in any part of the story, that they did not personally develop the news themselves, you can pretty much say that's probably an opinion piece, or it's just fake. It's just out there without any supporting evidence. Only linking to the same site. If I write an article and then I only link back to other things on that site that I've written What I'm doing is I'm harvesting your clicks and I'm getting money. So you're clicking through all the links, it may be 6 links to other stories that I've written, and you're sent back again and again to pay me from another click. Going on 4. The proof is just tweets. Anybody who's put an article together that says this proves X and it's just someone theorizing on Twitter, it's not proof. Not necessarily fake, but it's not proof. It's probably supposition. It's probably I guess a good guess. Maybe running things through Twitter to see what other people react to, but not proof. Number 5, word for word copy elsewhere. If you find the same article under the same headline in a different place, and they don't cite the original, or it doesn't even look like the original, but it's just been cut and pasted and moved over, probably that's a click farm. Probably that's a fake news network. Maybe they post something on Ladies of Liberty that wouldn't fly under incredibly pissed off Patriot USA. So they put different sites out there to appeal to different people. Links, unrelated content. One time I was looking at a link and it gave me the link to IMDb, which is the movie database website, and for Debbie Does Dallas. That was a sure sign that thing was fake. So don't let them link to something unrelated. And you can hover over a link and look, and most times your browser will tell you where that's going to take you. Linking only to homepages. I almost skipped that. Linking only to homepages. If they tell me that Fox News reported something or ABC reported something, and they don't link to that, they just link to ABC or to Fox News, you're being had because they're trying to make you go look for this information. It probably didn't happen. So keep that in mind. They will cite those sources but then refuse to link to it. That's a red flag. Let's see. Unrelated images. Oh, this is my favorite. When we had the shootings in, where was it? I don't want to say Vegas because it was during the day. There was a recent shooting. Somebody had put up taken a picture of that. I think it was AP took a picture of that at the time. Somebody wheeling out a gurney with somebody somebody dead into an ambulance. And that was recycled in like 3 different fake shootings that were reported by fake news. But people don't necessarily know that they're fake. The same image will turn up again and again. There's a way, if you right-click on most images online, it'll give you an option. Search Google for images. You can go and check where that comes from. All you have to do is right-click. You don't have to have any special knowledge. It'll pop up the Google page with all pictures where that came from, and you can see how many times it's been used. Number 9, not linking to sources. Again, if they are saying that ABC said something, but they don't provide you any link with it, even to the homepage, they don't provide any links at all, probably ABC didn't report that. So keep that in mind. Opinion words, number 10. This is the one that gets so many people. Opinion words. If somebody is talking about a news story where so-and-so is afraid of something, or so-and-so is, Obama is afraid of this happening, or so-and-so gets what they deserve, Comey's going to jail because he's, a traitor or whatever, okay? Probably those opinion words are in there to incite emotion in people, not to tell any real reporting, not to tell any facts or story that actually they can back up. Look out for opinion words. Number 11, no contact information for the author. Most every author of a legitimate news organization has a Twitter, has an email that you can ask questions or give them tips. Be careful of that one. Pseudonyms or nicknames. Not every pseudonym in reporting or in online works is from somebody being fake. But if you get a weird pseudonym, like there's someone who goes by Prissy Holly who makes up fake news, well, I'm sorry, that's not a real name. That might be her nice nickname that she goes by online. Mine online is something fishy, so I've gone by that before when I've written things. But that you could find that I'm a real person by looking up something fishy. Just be careful that the person doesn't have just a name out there that they can't, that there's no evidence of tying them to a real person.
Felicia, where do you find the links?
Links,
Like I'm looking at a Facebook post, USA for Trump, that has something. Where do you find, you say that?
oh, if you're looking on Facebook, you'll just have to click that. You can't hover over that. But usually at the bottom of Facebook, it tells you, Buffy, at the bottom, the name of the site.
Yeah.
And then if you click on the image that comes with the story, it should take you to it. That's how we'll look at it together. Keep that in mind. Let's go. 13, forecasting words. If somebody is about to be indicted, that's only a story if you have real sources for that. If people are just throwing that out into the air because they think it sounds real, that's not proof. So make sure if somebody says something's about to happen or is set to or will be, that they've got something more than just wishes backing that up. Questions in the headline. Oh my stars. How many times have you read something and then, do you agree with that? Or do you support him? That is all over fake news. If they have a question in the headline, they are doing something to get your attention, to get you to interact with it, and try to make you a part of the story. That's not kosher. It's not legitimate news. You might have a poll somewhere, and it'll say poll somewhere in the... That's legitimate, but not do you agree? Yes or no? Share, like, and all if you agree. Drives me nuts. Number 15, too good to be true. Every one of you grew up knowing this saying. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Yes. So you know that, relate with that. Lack of detail, number 16. So a lack of detail is they're telling you all their emotions about it. They're telling you all the things that you should be excited about in a story, but they don't provide any detail of how it happened, or which way that, where the sources come from, or what the details are. Look for that. Number 17, bait and switch. The headline is going to tell you something that'll make you click on it, and then it doesn't pay off. So how many of them have I seen where so-and-so is being indicted or is on their way to prison, somebody is locked up, going to be locked up right away, and they don't, there's nothing to do with that in the story. Just the other day, somebody had one about illegal immigrants, and they refused to work for Americans because it was against their religion. That was the headline. But the story is that people in Norway that are migrants, that are Muslims, have said that they wouldn't work in certain shops that serve pork or alcohol. That's a completely different story from Americans have taken in migrants that are not going to work because it's against their values. So watch for that. Only narrated video as proof. I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but there are some stories, they'll just put up a YouTube video and it'll read an article. That's it. Nope, nope, nope. Look for a better source. Slightly off website names. Have you ever seen abcnews.co.com or something like that? Spoofers will spoof those sites' names. Absolutely they will. And number 20, and I got to 19 and I couldn't think of another one, and then I realized, number 20, the site will tell you. Sometimes there's a disclaimer in the About section or at the bottom of a page, somewhere on there. Look it up, see if they're considered a site that's satire. They will tell you sometimes if they are. So keep that in mind. Those are some things that you can ponder and you can use to kind of run a story through a checklist really quick to see if maybe there might be some elements that don't play out. Lastly, how do we stop it? It's important that we do stop fake news as much as possible, get rid of it as much as we can, because, again, your credibility as someone engaging online is dependent upon whether people can believe you and believe what you say. If you share fake stuff about things that you don't really care about, they're going to think that there's fake stuff going around from you that you do care about things you do care about. So number one, put the truth first. Your agenda should be to be the trusted source and make sure that you're sharing stuff you verified. Check for those emotional tugs. I talked about those opinion words. I talked about those questions. Is some article trying to make you feel something and take action on it right away? Try to bypass your brain. Look for that. Slow down. I'm preaching to the choir here. This one is for me because I've always been about being first, about getting the quickest information out to my audience as quickly as possible. I've had to practice this so often. Read the article. A former elected official from this county shared an article that she did not even read, and it said something completely different from what she shared, and she looked foolish. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed like that. It's hard to watch, and it ruins their credibility. Search on the image. Again, right-click when you find a picture online, right-click on it, it'll say search Google for images. You can see if it pops up anywhere else. Try to implement the policy. No source, no share. If there's no source for what they're saying, don't let them get away with it. Don't share it until you've checked it out. And then, if you're in the information business of passing information to people, to spreading it, to tell them, to help them, convince them to be on your side about something, you want to make sure you're doing it with the most, the most verified information you can. So don't feel bad about taking a few extra minutes. It's not going to affect the long term. You just need to make sure that you have verified it. Take 5 minutes. Most of this can be debunked in 5 minutes. And lastly, when you do mess up, make it right. Make sure that you've either deleted the post that you made that was wrong, or that you've put up the top. Let people know that, oh, I researched this was wrong, I got bad information. Those are just a few things you can do to make it a little less crazy online and to make your credibility maintain, still be on top of people's high trusted list. And if you have any questions about that, about how to spot fakes, if you need to look at more, Unfakery is my page on Facebook. And it has videos there, there's tips there, all sorts of things, and you can contact me directly through it. Real quick.
Well, I love what you're presenting. And last week I had an example of this. It wasn't really big and earth-shattering, but John Culbertson had a press conference in front of my flooded house. And it was to get Schumer to support and to vote so that we could get the $81 billion to help take care of infrastructure for flooding. All 3 TV channels were there. Immediately when it was over, another TV crew showed up. They stayed in the street, they did not step on my property, but they used my house as a backdrop to discuss DACA and Schumer.
Oh, please.
Now, my house had nothing to do with supporting Schumer or, that issue. And I thought, well, what other backdrops do we see in news stories that have nothing to do with the story?
So they were